everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest works directly with those inner struggles. He's the CEO of Quantum Research, where he helps people uncover and break through emotional, mental, energetic, and spiritual blocks that limit human potentials. This conversation is for everyone who feels like there's more inside them than they are currently living. Stan Kurtz, welcome to Conversations with Sekani.
Nice to meet you, Joy. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So can you tell us more about yourself?
Well, I'm basically I have had a very interesting journey in my life, and I've seen some things that caused me to wake up. And one of it was that my mother passed early from cancer, and she started to get sick when I was 10. And by the time I was 15, she was gone. And I had a grandmother that died of cancer, and my son was then diagnosed with autism, and they said that you expect a hard life and he's not going to get better. And that was enough for me. That was enough for me. I was already sort of an out of the box kind of person in general. That's just kind of my makeup. And, but I was depressed when I believed it. If I believed the thought, I was depressed. And I went to a conference and there was a researcher that put up a slide that said, these kids have high copper levels. And I'm like, what does that have to do with a neurological condition that's lifelong? Doesn't make sense. And I went up and talked to him and I said, oh, so they have high copper and we can just give zinc and it goes down. And he's like, yeah, that's my presentation. I'm like, well, how many other pieces of science are there that show that these kids are sick? And he says there's a lot. And in that, I knew I was lied to. And from there, I was like, I need to find every piece of information possible that could potentially help him because I wanted him to be as good as he could possibly be. And that's how I am with people these days. That's my intention with humanity, is for us to get as well as we possibly can. And the truth is that we've been lied to in so many ways. It wasn't just about my son. So I spent months downloading studies, 750 studies, and reading them, learning the vernacular, understanding the motives behind authors, discerning what's truth and what's not. And from that, I started taking care of him using approaches that were safe and effective, natural things first. And ultimately, he completely recovered. And thousands like him were right behind that. That's across 22 years. He's 25 years old right now. He's doing amazing. And we've been helping people ever since, but not, the weird thing is one of the big surprises for me was this isn't about autism. This is about humans. And autism is like the canary in the coal mine, the thing that was hurt the worst, the soonest. But all of us are impaired because of toxins and infections that are in our body. And what we do today is I can take a drop of blood and I can show you the things that are interfering with your best self. And that's where I play every day, is I am researching what it takes to make people their best selves. And we do that all the time, every single day. Today's a day off. I do podcasting. I do research on that day off when I'm not around research or around people. And, but basically every day of my life, that's what I work on today, is getting people to be their best selves.
That sounds interesting. So we'll go to the beginning. You said we've been lied to. Do you mind sharing what are those, the lies that well, those lies are?
One of the lies is that just because somebody has a title, they know what's best for you. And we have, I think, as a society, as a race, we've handed over our health to experts. And in doing that, these structures that hold the experts have their own motives that aren't necessarily in your best interest. And it's kind of like this: the larger the organization, whether it's a government, whether it's an establishment, the less love I see that happens to the individual. There's no one that will love you more than you. There's no one that will love your child more than you. And we, as parents, or as parents to ourselves, however you want to look at it, we're the ones responsible for checking with our heart, using our intuition, and having discernment to make the best decisions. And that's the way it works in general. But for some reason, if we have an authority come along, we tend to give our power away. And so that was the thing I felt like I was lied to, which is I could hand my kid to the pediatrician, or I could hand my kid to the educational establishment, and they're going to do the right things. And it's just, in my experience, it's not the case. And when I've learned how many times we've been misinformed, we'll say, by our own government, how we've been misinformed by other authorities, then, like, if you have a friend, Joy, if you have a friend and they lie to you, afterwards you don't really trust them. But for some reason, with authority figures, we let them lie and continue to trust them and go about our day and drink our coffee. And it's like, it's a strange thing, actually, when you really examine it. Why? Because it's an institution or an authority that we don't hold accountable the things that they didn't tell us. And it not only did, and it's not let's say in the case of my son's pediatrician, he was a very nice guy with a very good heart. But when I read through the science and I showed it to him, I very quickly realized that he was not educated to be able to read studies, that a doctor doesn't read studies. Most of them don't. Most of them don't know how. Most of them don't have any nutritional training, and some have 10 hours in the United States. That's it. So they do not know how to make the best decisions. And they don't tell you that, which is like a lie by omission. So there's so many things like that. There's so many toxins that have been put into your child that you were not informed about. And when you start to learn those things, you start to realize I need to be on top of much more than I thought. And it is maybe not the easiest way to live is to go, oh, well, I have to figure things out for myself. But it is the best for your child and the best for yourself. So that's what I mean by I was lied to. I was told my child would never recover, that this condition can't be recovered. And, he had seizures, and he had also muscle weakness and sensory processing issues and low muscle tone and all these things. He recovered from all of it. So that first story of he has this condition, it's going to be the rest of his life, that's a lie. Now, or said differently, not true. And so that's what I'm talking about. And the more you dig in, the more you pay attention, the more you realize the truth isn't what it looks like. It's not what you're told at first, and that we have to discern for ourselves and realize that people have all sorts of motives. Businesses have all sorts of motives. Governments have all sorts of motives. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is my health, my child's health, your health, friends and family. And for some reason, I have a great love of humanity, and I feel like, what can we do to put human beings first so that they can become their best selves? Because personally, I would like to be on a planet with people that are in their best selves, that are not acting in low-level ways because they have interferences in their body and toxins, infections in their body. And I have the deep privilege of escorting people through this type of research where they walk in and they're one person, and they walk out and they're a completely different, amazing human being.
Okay. All right. So I was going to ask you about the experience that led you to this path, but you've already shared that with us. So as the CEO of Quantum Research, my podcast is for people in their 20s. I would like you to explain what that means in simple terms. What do you do as the CEO of Quantum Research?
Basically, forget the title or even the word research, but what I'm curious to find is how we be at our best. And if you're talking about 20s, for example, one of the first studies, the first thing I studied was Mike. He was in his 20s with ADHD, trouble focusing. Really brilliant guy and funny, but he said, I just forget things and I can't focus. And when we did a scan on him, we saw, actually, I can show you. I forget sometimes that we're doing some of these things on video. I'm going to share a screen for a second, if that's okay. And I want to show you, let me see if I can find the right one. Okay, so I want to show you Mike's brain with ADHD, okay? I'm going to go through some data and see if I can find it without going too, okay. This essentially is a brain scan for electrical activity. Mike's in his 20s. He's got ADHD symptoms, fatigue, anxiety, and stomach pain. Now, what this looks for is slow activity in the brain. And green means it's normal compared to controls, which are people that aren't diagnosed with anything. Yellow means double slow, and red means triple slow. You can see this on my mouse, right? Okay. So that's how he was when he came. We gave one nasal spray that has some nutrients for the brain. And this to the right is how he was immediately after. Clear-minded, stomach didn't hurt, zero fatigue, zero anxiety, and his energy level went up. And this is practically instant. So many of us are walking around like this, but this is our normal state. And we kind of like, well, that's just who I am. People say, I'm just hyper, or I'm just this. And I'm like, hold yourself to a higher standard, because believe it or not, there may be something going on underneath. And if there is, a lot of times these things are very solvable. This is just a nasal spray that we did. And this is one area that we do. And so when you're talking about quantum research, I am looking at all the ways that the brain can be and the body can be unstable and what happens when it's stabilized. And to give you a real life example is there's a woman, I'm going to grab the video right now. So her name's Gabby. All right, so here we are at the event to take care of people that have been can you hear that okay? What's your name?
Yes, I can.
So, Gabby, 2 minutes ago, what was your stress level?
12.
12. And what is your stress level now?
Minus 10.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been evacuated from the state.
Wow.
And I hadn't felt this sense of peace until now. Yeah, thank you.
So what you don't know is there was a fire here in California called the Palisades Fire, which I think made the news pretty much everywhere across the country. This woman had been evacuated from her home, and she was like really upset with me because somebody took her seat after she'd been waiting for a long time, and she was in my face pointing like, "Ah!" And I'm like, "Here, sit down, and before we do anything, just do the spray." She's going to tell you how long ago I sprayed her, and it's shocking. But what you're looking at is a regulated person that just needed a little metabolites. We didn't get her home back that night. We didn't give her a place to live. We just gave her a few things for her brain, one spray. And listen to what she said how long ago that she was losing her mind. And we sprayed you literally how long ago?
A minute ago?
A minute ago. So we sprayed her a minute ago, and now she has a sense of peace, even after everything that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you would have seen her before, you'd be she's like, hey, it's my turn, right? Yeah. And now she's like, look at this.
Glowing.
Yeah, amazing. All right, so here we are, glowing, she says. So let's see how I can stop sharing now. Let's see, sharing. Can I stop sharing? Okay, here we go. So I hope that's a simple example and a simple description of what we do. Based on what happened to my son and realizing that people can recover from things, the things that they said they can't, I started sort of curiously going from sort of person to person, child to child, and expanding my mind in what things are affecting people. And it turns out every person that we've looked at is being affected by 6 or 7 very basic things that when you remove them or you add some metabolites to their body that they need, they have these dramatic effects. And the next thing people usually say is, how come the world doesn't know? And it's because I've been in a dungeon just doing this work, word of mouth, and I haven't been public. And so now we're becoming public. And one of the people I'm being public with is with Joy.
That sounds nice. With what you said about the nasal spray, with the clip you just shared with us with that lady, so it shows that it actually worked under a minute. That's fascinating.
In 1 minute in this case,
In
and
1 minute.
what the brain scan showed is it was faster than me spraying the person and looking at we had a doctor that was doing the reading, and by the time I sprayed the guy, Mike, and walked over to the desk, he said it's normal. And I asked him, and there's a video on this online, so you can actually see this video on our YouTube channel. And it's stansrecoveries.com gets you the YouTube channel. But what you'll see is the doctor's like, and I said, is that unusual? And he goes, yeah. He goes, we see this with certain things, but never this fast. And because it was a metabolite, like a vitamin, because it was just a vitamin, we're not using something that makes you have typical side effects. It's just something natural. And when you start to see that and you go, it sounds crazy, it sounds impossible. And that's why I say, you've been lied to. Because if you believe that your best health is impossible, you're going on a fundamental lie that you've been told, which is you should just, shut up, sit down, and deal with life the way it is. And that's what keeps me going every day. Is I'm not on that team. I'm on the team of every human being has a right to feel like themselves. And I have a thing about people being robbed from their sovereignty. And that's what I spend every day doing in this research, is getting people's sovereignty back, learning in the extremes that are at the edge of my understanding, and bringing that to as many people as I can.
Okay. What you do, it's actually fascinating. And I feel like we need to create more awareness for this, because this is life-changing. Okay, so can you tell us do you mind sharing this nasal spray? What is it about?
Okay, good. Well, I'll tell you some of it for sure. And there is basically in the metabolism, the environment, there's a pathway called methylation. And I don't want to get too technical or boring, but methylation is the process of how your brain chemistry is created. It's the process that actually replicates your cells and helps you replicate your DNA. And that process is incredibly important. But it's also attached to a pathway that takes care of toxins and other things. And it's also able to be damaged. And stress can actually affect it too. And the less you're in your prime form, the more systems in your body become dysregulated. And so what we've done is we've taken a couple vitamins and put them into that spray that are very important and in the areas that can be most damaged. So we're targeting those areas. It's like literally just one place. And that has a substantial effect on just about every human being we spray it in. And we've developed this for 2020, like 2005 was, I think, the first year that I made it. So it's 20 years ago. And so it's a couple vitamins. And then the other thing is that I also pull technologies from like the past, the 1800s, and we use that stuff for certain things. I use modern technologies that are like stuff you've never seen. It's kind of like stuff from Star Trek. And then there are different cultures that I pull from: Native American, African, Amazonian. And there is an Amazonian root also in that spray that's from 1,000-year-old trees, and that apparently really love humans and have remarkable effects. So I have combined that together into a spray. It is a vitamin, an amino acid, and an Amazonian root. And how to get that to the world is a really good question. I even made it into a lollipop one time, like going back years ago, so that the kids on the spectrum who don't want to have something shot up their nose, even because shooting it up the nose, the other way to do it is you shoot it into your body fat. It only works in the body fat. It won't work in the blood. It has to get through the nervous system somehow, is what my current theory is. And you can get into the nerves of the nose, which takes it into the brain to some degree. And the speed of it is almost instant. It's not the blood. So it's not about getting in the blood, because when you shoot it in the nose, the time it takes before the brain scan looks normalized is faster than the blood picking it up here, going through the body, through the heart, and up into the brain. That's a 15-second process. This literally takes like a second before we see changes. So it's literally traveling up the olfactory nerve of smell, and there's a transgenial nerve that also may be picking it up. The nerves of the eyes also are attached to it. We can tell because we can feel it. And it literally works that quickly. It's very the answer in short is it's very simple things that are needed in a complex system. And once you get it in, we see changes over and over again. When you go to the site and you watch the videos, when you go to the website, the stansrecoveries.com website, you will see video after video of people being sprayed, video after video of people that have been through our research process, and they can talk about what they had and what they ended up with, and like how they felt when they're done.
All right. So how do we get this spray? If I wanted to get it,
really
where do I go to?
In the US, I don't have any outlets for it other than the people that come here through research. But your question may lead me to change my mind about that, because it is not a. I'll have to think about that. But if somebody wanted to get it, and I wouldn't know, like shipping to Africa, or Nigeria. Where are you from?
Nigeria.
So shipping to Nigeria might be expensive. So how to get it is a good question. And I think I need to sit with that and try to come up with an answer. Mm-hmm. And maybe we need to make a public version that people can get just readily available. And maybe I need to start making a lollipop again, because nasal sprays are okay in a research setting, but in a public setting, I think there's some things that prevent us from doing that to the general public. So I will sit with that question and get back to you. In the meantime, I was referring people to our website, which is not our website, our YouTube channel, which is Stans Recoveries, and then also referring them to a links page, which tells you more about our work, which is stanslinks.com. And your question is, how do we get it to the world? And it's a great question, and I don't have an answer for you right this second.
All right. Hopefully, when we do another interview, you're going to let us know how to actually get these things. We need to get it over here.
All right, I'll sit here and work on it while you're talking to me.
All right. So from your experience working with people, what are the most common invisible blocks, holding young people back today?
That's a great question. So I think the biggest invisible block, like the biggest thing that people would be shocked by, is that their thinking causes cellular reactions instantly. So stress is actually one of the largest things, one of the most high priority things the body responds to. So if you're under stress, if you're thinking that there's something wrong or something bad happened to you, or you're thinking about the past, or you're thinking about that relationship where somebody left you, betrayed you in some way, shape, or form. If you spend time there, you're actually hurting your cells and you're aging yourself. That was a big shock to me, how substantial it is and how fast it is, because it's instant. Your cells are constantly adjusting to your mindset. And if your mindset's off, like during COVID, what was happening is I was taking care of some people that had COVID. And when I started clearing that condition, they started talking about a trauma. And it usually coincided with right around the time that they got it. And you hear about this. You hear people like, oh, I worked really hard. I was really stressed for 2 weeks. And the following week I get sick. That is a real pattern that you're susceptible to things that are in your environment. Usually you take care of it. But if your brain is off, you potentially can get an infection. If your brain is off long enough, what you're actually sponging inside is toxins. And if that's the case, then your thinking makes you more toxic physically long term. And that's what we see. So thinking is a huge deal. So in other words, well, how do you change your thinking? Well, the way I did it is I took a look at my life and I saw the order of things, the order of my mother dying and my son having autism, the order of everything that brought me to this call has had benefit to me, which means that no matter what happens from here, there will be benefit to me. And if I know that's how the world works, then I can be much safer in that belief system. Then I don't want that to happen again, because this incarnation is about activation. It's not about fun all the time. You know, if it was, it was a bad deal. But what it is about, that I can guarantee you, is that we're here to be activated. You're here to do something. You're here to learn something, and we learn it through surprise. You know, my mother was a surprise. My son was a surprise. What I did with it made my purpose, and in that, I have lots of joy. I don't stress for the most part. So thinking really matters. And you could call it faith in a way, to believe that, you know, God's in all things. You could call it that. You can say the universe is friendly if you're paying attention and you're patient and you have the right lens. That's another way to look at it, is you just keep a lens on what am I learning? And I'm always receiving, even if somebody leaves me. You know, there's always, like, somebody walks in, I'm excited. Somebody walks out, I'm excited, because it's one less Christmas card if they leave my life. There's always a benefit. So that was an important thing to learn. The next thing to learn was everyone has got stuff in them that they didn't realize, that is, in my experience, everyone has stuff in them that is interfering with their best selves. And when somebody's not in their best selves, their hierarchy of possibility is lower. And I want everyone at the top. So if you have that mindset of, how do I keep improving myself? How can I be more clear? How can I be more energized? How can I not have fatigue? How can I not be so obsessive over the past? There are answers to that. And that was something that was incredibly surprising to me. And it's measurable. The nice thing about having a, you know, like a really amazing microscope and looking at the blood and hearing people's issues, it's so measurable and it's so direct. And the priority is your thinking, your infections, and your toxins. That's how your body approaches things. So if your thinking is right, you're going to have less toxins and less infections, or less infections, less toxins. That's just the truth. And so that you can do right now. Other things you can do is, your food matters. You want to reduce toxins and infections in your body. Get rid of milk, get rid of wheat, get rid of complex carbs and starches, and reduce your diet down to proteins and vegetables and pear, and maybe some other fruit. Get everything else out. No bananas, no eggs. Now that sounds like a lot, but if you were to rewind this and write that down, or go to our site and message us for the food program, that will change your life. That will make you, in my experience, very high percentage time, in just a few days, clear-minded, able to wake up on time, not have the skin issues, not have the focus issues that many people have. So if you can't get the nasal spray, the diet is available. You have a mouth, you've got food, and with a little discernment, you can change your life.
Okay. You said no bananas. I heard no bananas, no eggs. I love bananas personally, and I also love eggs.
Yeah, well,
Why?
the problem with bananas is that most cases they've been modified so much, and they're also sprayed with all sorts of things to just age right on time when you get them. And those are chemicals that are really bad. That's my experience. And I can tell you what I did is, we tested 200 with the parents, 200 kids in the early days for what foods trigger their immune system. The two most reactive foods consistently across all the kids was bananas and eggs. And it is shocking, because my son's favorite foods at the time were bananas and eggs. And every time I say this, I watch people get very uncomfortable. And that is where the gain is. If you think that you need those things, that's called an addiction in most cases. The infections inside you will crave the foods that they need, not you. So I invite people just to try this. Don't believe me, but believe me enough, if you'd like, to try this, because if you want a better self, this is an easy thing that everyone can do. And I'm going to start publishing this diet on our links page at stanslinks.com. This is 22 years of research. It's actually 22 years of research into the science, and also practical, over and over again with many, many people. You will reduce the infections in your body, in my experience. You will have less fungus in you. You will have less bacteria in you, because what you don't eat, this goes back to an 1888 study on celiac disease. What you consume and don't digest causes harm. So you need to eat foods your body loves, not your infections love. So in other words, protein is easily digestible. Vegetables are very digestible. Nature meant that for us. Cow's milk was never meant for humans. Dairy in any way was not meant for humans. Wheat was not meant for humans, in my experience, and it is very difficult to digest, and it creates a lot of immune issues. So what I'm telling you is, Reduce your food down to what your body loves, and it will shift and change. And the gas you have in your stomach, and the attention and focusing problems, skin issues, a lot of these things will disappear in a very short period of time. So that's a quick, easy way for people to try it. And literally in a couple days, you will very likely feel very different and not want to go back.
So you said eat food your body loves, not what your infection loves.
Yeah. Vegetables are good, easily digestible. And pears, for example, easily digestible. Anything else, for the most part, berries also okay. And but all other things, for the most part, are very difficult to digest for the body. And you have a set of fungus in your GI tract. Your GI tract's 22 feet long from mouth to butt. And there is more DNA and fungus in the average person than there is DNA in the rest of their body. So that means you are more fungus than you are human. And that fungus has cravings and irritabilities, and you feel it in your nervous system. Stop feeding the fungus. Complex carbs and starches are undigestible for the most part. It's a slow digestion process and very difficult one. While your body's working on that, your fungus is having a field day. So I invite you guys to try the diet. I invite you to take a look at stansrecoveries.com and stanslinks.com to take a look at some more information about what we do. And ultimately, what I invite you to is being your best self, which is what my heart's desire is. I want everyone to be the absolute best self and navigate this world with your best thinking and your calm thinking and your heart open and your head clear. That's what I want for you. So, Joy, you want to wrap up and get us out of here?
I'll definitely do that. So with what you said eat the food your body loves and not what your infection loves. That one stood out for me. And I hope my listeners can learn one or two from what you've said so far. So is there any website, or can we know where we can reach out to you? Any social media handle? Can you say it again for our audience?
Stansrecoveries.com and stanslinks.com. So you go to those things and you can find out, you can watch more videos of this work, just like the one we showed you that was like that 60-second one. We've got hundreds of those. And the stanslinks.com leads you to different things that we do. Like I kind of do like a sort of sermon style sharings on Spotify and other things. So those links are there. And and our contact information's there. If people want to reach out, they can. But mostly we're doing this work, and we don't always get back very quickly, but we do answer. But the material's there for them to learn, and I try to publish as much free stuff as I can. So that's that. Thank you, Joy.
All right. Thank you so much, Stan, for being here. Thanks for tuning into Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked anything in you, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this, and also subscribe so you don't miss out on any episode. Thank you so much, Stan. Do have a wonderful day.